come sail away with us on the good ship Spoilers for Everything.
That's wonderful. We've never had that much of a formal introduction. Usually, well, I think last week we just started with a hello, like kind of,
Yeah, I wanted to throw a curveball, maybe just, step off on a different foot before the degeneration of conversation
Yeah.
that is this show.
I think it's the degeneration of conversation. Degeneration of conversation. That's quite a good. That's almost that could almost be our motto. That could almost be our tagline.
You'd have to
which is I think is actually shorter than our title. But
that's a very us thing today.
That's very The title of the show is Spoilers for Everything, Degeneration Conversation. It's nice. I like it.
Yeah, and the longer the title gets, the closer it sounds to like an academic work.
Some sort of published paper. Yeah.
Or sort of like Birdman, or the importance of virtue, or whatever that movie's called. Virtue of Ignorance.
I think it's The Virtue of Ignorance. Yeah, that was a great movie actually.
The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance.
That was a really good film. Yeah, it was not what I thought it was going to be at all. Like, it really wasn't.
They even had like stuff in the trailer that was this fake action movie stuff. They even say like, we're doing this to put it in the trailer, and they did.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really good film.
But then there is this like supernatural element to the plot, or at least it's implied in the ending.
Yeah. I think, Michael Keaton, really good actor. I really enjoyed his work recently.
Yeah, he's on a bit of a resurgence, isn't he?
He is, yeah. Which I've been welcoming, obviously with his role in Homecoming. But we talked enough about Homecoming, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, covered that for over an hour, in fact.
I listened back to that, and I think it came across like I was very down on that movie, but I did really enjoy it.
No, I think it's sometimes it's just boring to say you just enjoy something. It's actually good to have some criticism. If anything, I was just too flat out. I was quite bold over it.
If there's one thing that I am a mine of, it is criticism.
Yeah. In fact,
never have to dig deep to find the criticism.
You don't have to, barely scrape the surface. To be honest, there are some parts of the surface that are oozing criticism. It's not even well contained, really, is it? I would say it's not contained at all. But that's why we love you. Another great film is out, Dunkirk, by the way.
Have you seen it?
I have seen it. And I am 100% going to see it again. I don't know when, but I want to.
Okay, let's go and see it again.
Yeah, let's. Seriously, phenomenal. And we will talk about it, obviously, on the podcast afterwards. Yeah, it's like a... You know there's a good director when you watch a film and it's basically not like any other film you've watched. Like, it blows my mind sometimes, because the problem is, like, a lot of films can be really formulaic, and even ones that I love can be pretty formulaic. But someone like Christopher Nolan, like, he is still pushing boundaries in the cinema world. Like, you take the story of Dunkirk. Like, I'm surprised it's not been told on screen before, at least not on this sort of scale. We were basically defeated in the early days of the war. We were surrounded on all sides.
Jesus, man, spoilers.
Yeah, well, literally, it's the premise. So,
spoil something that happened in real life.
That's true. But yeah, like, it's one of the most amazing stories. I would say it's almost, it's up there with like D-Day. I know it was a crushing defeat, but the sort of stories that came out of that whole event was fantastic. And the idea of like how you tackle something like that, because on screen I just couldn't imagine it being very, there's only a few real plot points to that whole thing. It's trapped on a beach, people came and picked them up, took them home. Like, that's kind of like, that's the whole thing. You've got to essentially find moments for drama in there, and you've got to find ways to convey the emotion of that whole, thing. And so it's really interesting watching, like, how do you do that with cinema? And seriously, everything just seems so well thought about, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you think of it.
I've not seen all of Christopher Nolan's films, I don't think.
I've not seen Memento.
Memento is really good.
Yeah, people have really told me, like, everyone, like, because I really like Christopher Nolan.
All of his time stuff, him playing around with structure and putting some events here so the audience knows this, and then you have the stuff in Inception where there's multiple timelines going on simultaneously. Even Interstellar had this thing of like 15 minutes for Matthew McConaughey was like 20 years for the guy they left up there.
He definitely enjoys playing with time. Whether it be, I mean, because obviously So yeah, you kind of got Inception, which is not really grounded in reality, but then you got Interstellar. That's the thing I really loved about Interstellar, was it's a real thing. Like time dilation is just a physical property. We just don't notice it because we're
too small.
Yeah, we're not surrounded by extreme gravitational forces, and we're not traveling fast enough to experience it. So we just kind of, to us, it, like, time just exists as it does. But I thought that was a really interesting, like, okay, you've got this, like, people near a black hole. Let's play with that as almost like a horrendous, like, it was almost a horror moment, because obviously he's got his family back on Earth, and it wasn't just critical for the mission that they get back in time. It was sad from time. Part of his life was slipping away from him.
A lot of that, I think, Interstellar had kind of a mixed receiving.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people kind of bashed on it, and
I don't really get why. Like, I think the people who bashed on it, I think a lot of people bashed on it for its ending, which, if anything, was where it gains the most respect from me.
Oh, okay. I remember now. There was that whole thing about Matthew McConaughey and him manipulating dust to send some really cryptic...
it goes mental, like, it goes, like, up the wall crazy. But the weird thing is it is kind of, like, it's scientific, like, basically, the movie is, like, scientifically, like, it's our scientific knowledge up to the event horizon of the black hole, right? And then after that event horizon, it's like, it gets quantum, which is where we don't know for sure. We have theories, and it just takes one of the theories to be true. And I kind of saw it.
I kind of saw it as sort of an homage to 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh, it definitely was. Like, I mean, the choice to shoot all of the ships with miniature, even to the extent where it broke my immersion, because I was like, this looks terrible. Because there was the bit, like, no, for the most part, the ship looked fantastic. Like some of the scenes were just absolutely mind blowing, and it was because they used that miniatures and stuff. But the bit where it's docking and the little arms were trying to grab the port, it just looked so tacky. It looked like something out of Thunderbirds, and I was like, oh no! It was the equivalent to the Barrels in the River GoPro shot for me. It was that. It was like, all of a sudden taking out the film, because it's not. I'm no longer marveling at it. I'm like, that was a bit dodgy.
Better than that.
Yeah. But overall, I really like that film. Like this, once again, actually, to be said as well. Well, actually, another thing it got criticised for, which I found a compliment to. Nolan always gets criticised for this, and it's his sound design, because you had Bane with The Dark Knight. Yeah, exactly. I mean, to be fair, I've never had a problem hearing his sound. Like,
I struggled the first time. I was like, what the hell are you saying, Bane? And why is Bane talking like that?
But this is also why... this also was a criticism in Interstellar, because he mixed... When he did his sound mix for Interstellar, especially in IMAX, it was like... There were bits where, like, the sound built to such a crescendo you can't hear, like, I mean, it almost distorts. It was distorted.
As the producer of this podcast, I should probably be the last person to, like,
bash on
people for not having things designed properly.
No, I think our rig has definitely improved since the start, hasn't it? Really.
Yeah, it just requires a lot more thought for me to make it sound good.
Yeah.
When it sounds good, it sounds better.
But yeah, so this was something that Interstellar got bashed on, which I do kind of agree with. I have to say there were parts of that movie that were, like, it was, but I think he likes playing around with. I think one of his biggest things is actually playing around with silence, like where he uses silence. He used it to really good effect in Interstellar, and Dunkirk was an even better use of it, because in all honesty, I don't know how many pages of dialogue there must be in that script, but it's almost nothing. Like, there's almost no talking in Dunkirk. Like, there are a couple of conversations at most. The majority of that film is just, I mean, it's obviously got folio and stuff, but it's not got actual conversations in it, which really adds to the tension. Like, because you get this sense that there's nothing really to talk about. Like, they're like trapped on a bit. Like, everything is just told visually, and it, when that sort of silence is broken by any sort of implement of war, so a plane, a bomb, a bullet, it is deafening, and it is such a shock to the system, and there's no getting away from it. Like, it's dread inducing, and seriously, that sound design is phenomenal. Combined with Hans Zimmer's score, it's insane. Like the whole film feels like
Zimmer is sort of someone who's been bashed a lot as well.
Yeah.
Like the wow.
Yeah.
Like that's him.
But yeah, it is.
The reason that is still being used in trailers is him.
Yeah, but I think that's a testament. I mean, it's a bit, you know, at least he's still making scores that are distinct and, you know, recognisable. I would say. Personally, I think he's still making good scores.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's very talented. Did Hans Zimmer do Spider-Man 2? Amazing Spider-Man 2?
I don't know.
I'm gonna look that up. Because that was a film I did not enjoy the sound design. In particular, the electro dubstep.
Oh right, okay. I would be surprised if he did that. Because Hans, I mean, especially his work with Nolan has been very good. Interstellar's soundtrack, that organ throughout Interstellar was wonderful. I really liked that. It added like this real ethereal level, and especially where that film went, that ethereal feeling was brilliant.
It was composed by Hans Zimmer.
Right.
Because there's one thing when that scene when Electro confronts Spider-Man in New York. Is it like Central Plaza?
It's Times Square.
Times Square.
Yeah.
And so Electro starts shooting his electricity, and you hear the dubstep, but layered in, there's like this weird distorted vocal track of Jamie Foxx going, he hates me, he lied to me, kill him.
Oh, so they've they tried an experiment.
I found that so distracting.
They tried an experiment and it failed, obviously. You know, I think it's also at the hands of because you know Jamie Foxx is a creative type, and
love Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, he's fine. Like I don't. Yeah, he's good. He's cool. Like I don't have anything against it. I don't think he's like one of the greats of our time. Like I'm not like putting.
No, definitely not.
He's no John Williams, is he? Neither is Hans Zimmer, to be fair. But no, I don't know. Hans Zimmer, I think, you know, combined with Christopher Nolan. Like I think Christopher Nolan's very much up for experimenting, and he really likes playing around with these sound design, and it shows. It was really good.
I've got a big thing for like silent moments in movies or sections of just visual storytelling.
Yeah.
Whether it's like a good montage, like Rocky punching the cow meat, or Scarface running his bags of money to the bank.
Yeah, I feel like not enough. So many directors can just do a good job. Like they put everything on the screen. It's not messy and it's clean. It's nice. But sometimes it takes one of these moments where either you leave a piece of, you know, a shot on the screen for long enough, like almost too long, where it like, you know, just using either quick cuts or long cuts for emphasis and stuff like that. It's like people often forget to play around with that, and I feel like that's something that really stood out in Dunkirk to me. Although there were some shots, not like cool, like pulled off long shots, you know, because they're like impressive on their own right, but just actually letting a shot linger has a real, like, really weird effect on you as an audience member. Like because there are parts that it's not really, you know, they're on a beach, they're being bombed, like leaving it on a shot where like you literally just get to just take in how all these hundreds of thousands of people are reacting to just the fact they could be blown up at any second. Like they're just watching this plane, and like, where do you run? Like you're on a beach. Like you just gotta hope. You just lie down and hope you just hope that you're not the like you try digging. You just hope that you're not the person being blown up.
I'm not a man. I'm a pile of sand. Take that, you snigger Germans.
You sneaky Germans. And that's another. Yeah. You know what? We will talk about Dunkirk once you've seen it more. But all I'm saying is, good job, Nolan. That was really good.
Yeah. I need to look up when The Disaster Artist is coming out.
Oh yeah, that. See, I just love the fact that it's even gonna be a film. Like for those that don't know, there was a film called The Room, where Johnny Wiseau, isn't it?
Tommy
Wiseau, and it's dire, but in the most wonderful way.
You are tearing me apart, Lisa.
I did not.
I did not hit her. It's not true. I did not.
Oh hi, Mark. It's, you know, like, I mean, not a great script, but oh my god, the acting is atrocious too. I've not actually seen it all the way through. I've seen a lot of clips of it.
So like Tommy Wiseau, the main guy, the creative auteur, is this really interesting character. Like, he speaks with some strange European accent, but he claims to be 100% American.
Yeah.
And he claims he financed the movie by doing some importing business on leather jackets. and the film is just this mad mishmash. Like, the guy has no talent as an actor. He has no business being on screen.
Much like Tarantino.
There are scenes in which characters, for no reason at all, just throw footballs back and forth.
I've seen the bits I've seen of that film. I just love on like. The thing is, there must have been people around him, but I guess he was funding it. You know, at the end of the day, if it's your boss, you don't really want to be like, you know, hey, look, you suck. You should really hire someone else instead of you in this film.
Well, Greg Sestero, the guy who I think James Franco's little brother is playing, he was the actor who played Mark. I think Disaster Artist is based on a book that he wrote.
Yes.
About The Room and making The Room, and.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, there was the film The Room, and now James Franco, Seth Rogen, Dave DeFranco as well, I think it's Dave DeFranco. Yeah, like they're all getting together and making a movie about the making of this movie, and it looks wonderful. Like, it looks so good, and it's so funny that this exists to me.
And he's going to be in it, Alison Brie.
Oh, is she really? Oh, wow, cool. I'm pro that. But yeah, I love the fact that it is a thing. Like, someone has funded that. I mean, I'm guessing it's those guys. I mean, like, Seth Rogen and James Franco have enough money now just to do whatever the hell they want, pretty much.
Yeah, and I reckon they're the kind of people who would know about The Room.
Did you see... I mean, obviously, I'm guessing you know the latest of Jake Paul, but did you see Seth Rogen's response?
No.
So, someone had, like, tweeted about, like, Jake Paul breaking from Disney. Apparently he wanted to focus on his like other creative stuff.
He's gonna build Team 10.
Yeah, and Seth Rogen came out and said, like, I'm making a pledge now that I will not be involved in giving this man any future like roles in any of my films. And I just
that's a bit harsh. Jake Paul just needs a little bit of guidance.
Not at all. Like, that guy, he's
won me over. I'm a Jake Pauler now. Dab.
You gotta say it. That at least his dab does work on a podcast. Like, a normal dab doesn't work. But
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What are those?
What are those? Oh, it's so.
Everyone laugh now.
There's brilliant moments in that news clip. Jake Paul is just this douchebag, by the way. There's no basically you could give extra context.
If you don't know who Jake Paul is, stop this podcast right now and Google Jake Paul. The first thing you see, click on it, and you'll have the greatest time.
And but in that you can see where he's being interviewed, and like, so there's a bit where he says like, oh, they're complaining, blah blah, and he goes, oh no, why? And he's like, oh, you know, making their life like, you know, they feel like they're in a circus. He goes, oh, everyone loves it. And then the people they're laughing. Anyway, and then there's another bit where like,
you can't write that.
And there's another bit where he goes to defend it. He says, oh no, it's terrible. And then like one of their people like says like, says, oh, you can't beat him, join him. And the moment that Jake Paul like turns it a little bit serious, this guy's face goes like, yeah, to this dropping. It's like they just like they like him. They're exactly like him, but like a second delayed, because all they're doing is they're watching what's he done. I've got to react in the appropriate way, or else I'm going to get kicked out of this house. They're like little cult followers. It's
in
horrendous.
Final Fantasy VIII, you would have a party of 3, and when you're walking through the towns and stuff, it would be like one person at the front, one person in the middle, one person behind. And the simplest way they could program the AI being around was just to follow your movements exactly.
Yeah.
So if you run forward, spin in a circle, and then run back, you'll see all 3 party members do that.
It's so like that. And then when he does what are those? Like, he's the only one finding that funny at the time. And
it's like a half-second delay. It's too long.
And they all kick off, not because they found it funny, but because they've realised that they should now be running around like an idiot screaming at this completely childish like response to quite a serious situation. It is basically a serious situation. It's a bunch of other people's lives.
He's like set things on fire.
Yeah, and he's basically just being a public nuisance, like completely antisocial behaviour.
Like LA is pretty dry, so I think fires become like a big problem.
Oh yeah, like California wildfires are a huge issue, and he's like he's emptied his pool out and he's just put a bunch of rubbish in it and he's set a light to it and it's like flames get out of control, and he's just like,
and then he films himself going round to the neighbours' houses and doxes them all.
Yeah, shows all of their addresses on. Oh,
but it's all from stupidity.
Yeah, and it is stupidity, and it's just this. I think it's lack of self-awareness. Like, he really does, and it's the problem that you see with a lot of like rich stars, like Justin Bieber. Like, they can surround themselves with people. Like, it's so, because really your social. I think it's something like, you've got 150 connections, like social connections, before you can't really have any more. So for them, that saturates super fast, and it's easy for them to surround themselves with people who are like, yeah, you're awesome. So it's so hard for them, like, and all the criticism they read, it just seems on the outside, and it's people who are jealous. It's always for like the reason they're jealous or they don't get it, their sad lives. That's just how they protect themselves, and there's people around that will tell them the same thing because they want in on the fame and the money, and it's just sad. It's so pathetic.
Yeah, like when you get a bit of success, I'm sure Nick Crompton.
Oh, well, did you hear that? Right, someone, you know, Stephen, who we were out on a night out with the other night.
Yeah, he seemed in the know about.
He did seem in the know. Well, he Snapchat me the other day. He was filling out a form, and where it said country, he was typed out England, and I appreciated that in the middle of my day. Anyway,
wait, do you mean city?
Yeah, it said city, and he put. Sorry, I'm that sensible. I just can't get away from the actual fact that England is a country and not a city.
But if it weren't for Team 10, the US would be shitty.
Yeah. So remind me, who is it that stays litty?
It's Chance.
It's Chance, sorry.
And that's why we should pass it to him.
Yeah.
The guy is on 13 seconds of the song, and
Yeah.
it changes everything.
So, Stephen said, I don't have a source for this because I was just chatting to Stephen today on Snapchat, and I can't even show you it because it disappears.
It's gone, like
But
sand through the hourglass.
Apparently, like, it's come out that Nick Crompton, like, a guy who wanted to be getting the Team 10 house, wanted to get in. Apparently, like, Nick Crompton's gay, and apparently, in exchange for, like, a pass into the Team 10 house, he asked to suck him off. Like this,
whoa.
These are the mad rumours I've heard from Snapchat.
So, who asked who to suck who off?
Nick Crompton was like basically made the guy let him.
Jake Paul.
No. Like,
some guy
this guy wanted to come into Team 10,
and he had to suck off Nick Crompton.
No, Nick did that
to suck him off to let him in Team 10.
Yeah. I feel like we're spreading rumours here.
This is some irresponsible speculation, but I love it.
Yeah.
I shall now repeat it as true.
We'll repeat
thus
it.
invalidating everything I said on the fake news episodes.
You know what? If you can't beat them, join.
I want this information to be true, so it is.
Yeah, that's something that we'll have to.
Just as easy as that.
That's definitely something we'll have to look up. Careful what you Google.
Yeah.
Nick Crompton's sort of man. Oh dear. Him and his pop collar, damn son. Yeah. Oh man, irresponsible man children. It's horrible. It's really bad.
It's going to be interesting. I want to see what will happen with his neighbours, like uniting and pushing the civic system against him.
Oh yeah, I mean it's already seen real world. I mean I love how because they did the Rise of the Pauls, didn't they? And in that they brag about like they was addressing PewDiePie and said, well at least my brother still has his Disney contract. And then it's like
so long.
It's like half a month later, and he's like no longer working with Disney. It's just, at the end of the day, I really hope that he has some real world consequences. Like, I mean, it kind of bugs me that not like because if this was in a council estate, and there were being some people being like this, like,
bye.
Yeah, like, instantly, and it's just because this guy, you know.
Yeah, they is white. They is white trash.
They're from Ohio.
I'm from Ohio, though. White boy.
White boy. I can't believe he wrote that line and sincerely put it in a song.
I showed my parents and my mum was like, she was laughing, and I was like, she's like, this is ironic, isn't it? And I was like,
not at all.
No.
This is it. In a weird way.
It is to us, like that's why we like it. But
I naturally give him like credit that like I think on some level like it's one of those people where you like he's
Don't
either
say it. Don't say it.
He's a genius. Is not what I think. But like you know, you always that's almost my immediate reaction when I'm trying to figure out what side someone's on. They're either completely because you get a lot of like reality TV, like Joey Essex for example.
Genius.
Right. He's not a genius, but he's definitely playing. He's recognised that people loved him for a few stupid things he said, and he has made a complete lifestyle out of doing it. I don't believe
you're right because the way that Jake Paul and Logan Paul jump in front of that camera with their whole dab, hey everyone nonsense.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. They have no like self-respect.
No, that's that. But the thing is, it's not even like. But I don't think they're doing it because they are self-aware that that's what's keeping. I think that Jake Paul is just through and through like that. Like he is. Yeah. Whereas I'm like I've seen like I went to watch like a recording like sometimes I've got tickets to see a TV show. I didn't know what it was. It ended up being something with Harry Hill, and Joey Essex was on it. And in between takes, it was just a normal guy chatting to Harry Hill, like they were just normal. And then when he went on, he was obviously being an idiot. So it's like you could tell, like there was a difference there. But I think Jake Paul, like the fact he lives in the house with all these other people, I think genuinely is basically just a degenerate. Like he's like.
It really winds me up when people post statuses like, "Oh, can't believe how thick Joey Essex is," and I'm like, why are you watching?
Yeah.
If you know that you don't like Joey Essex, you could. It's so easy to avoid Joey Essex.
It is, yeah.
I have avoided Joey Essex successfully for years.
I mean, like the last interaction I had with him visually was accidentally going to watch one of his shows being filmed. It was an accident. I didn't know what. I was just like, this seems like a fun evening. I'll go watch some TV being filmed.
Okay, so maybe you just have to avoid filmings or just research them a bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, when people say, "Oh, I can't believe how thick he is," I'm like, well, why are you watching it? Two, why are you talking about it? Because you're just playing into their game.
Mm.
And I think there's a lot of times when people get criticism, or especially on the internet, they try and deflect that by calling the person who making the criticisms a hater. You have hateful intentions. You're a troll. Like all these things to discredit the person rather than the idea. And I don't know. I just think that like the standard of things would be way better if people just addressed both.
Yeah. Well, I think and that's kind of what I was saying about these people who live in this bubble. Like, just dismissing everyone who disagrees with you as a hater isn't useful at all. Like, that's such a bad thing to say. Yeah, sure, there are some people out there who are just doing it to get a kick, like, or a reaction. But there are also people who are genuinely like, and I feel like the majority of criticism that Jake Paul gets is 100% deserved. And what's scary is that, like, the word hater is just letting him, like, in his own mind, dismiss it. And I'm like, that's worrying. Like, he's just like, you know, it's because they're jealous, so it must be. Like, it can't be because they're just reasonable people who, like, understand what a society is and how it works. Like, that they're mental.
Like the Let's Play thing that I'm going to talk about probably next time we record has a lot of that going on. Like, there is a community of people who constantly talk about this Let's Player, make content about that Let's Player, and the guy in question, he acts like they're trying to destroy him, and it's like, if they destroy you, they've got no more content. Like, they can't hate you, and you wouldn't spend that much time talking about someone.
But having said that, it is surprising the amount of things in the world that are, like, weirdly set. Like, I work in IT. My job is to get rid of my job. Like, if I did my job, like, if I was a superhero and my job was doing my job, like, or my super ability, like, you know, either way, basically, I'm trying to fix. Like, my job is fixing computers.
That'd be a great idea for a superhero. He has
he puts himself out of his own like purpose.
He has weird like technology powers, and he's an IT worker. So what he does is he just solves the IT. Nothing ever goes wrong. No one ever rings him, and he goes out and solves crimes.
Yeah,
that'll be his cover. Like the
there
IT
you go.
Just works.
But yeah, like my job is getting rid of my job, and it's like it's maybe a bit similar to them. Like they almost know that it's like an unlimited fuel source, right? But like
you gotta but you wouldn't want it to.
Which is why, like, one of the best ways you can defeat something like that is not reacting in a stupid way. It's not overreacting, and it's to maybe learn from it. Because, like, if you take away like the source of their criticism, then, you know, just ignoring it and keeping on the same plane is not gonna reduce their critique, is it? I don't understand.
I think you're basically left with two options: you either ignore or you engage. If you engage, then you have to be sure that like your arguments. Not the way you conduct your argument, but your arguments have to be better. You have to be smarter and more funny and likeable than the person you're going up against. Or you just avoid it completely and try not to...
I think the best, like, for the most part, I go with ignore. If I think someone's being unreasonable, I'll ignore them, because you can't really win against that.
But people take this half step where they ignore them, but also shit on them a little bit as well.
Yeah, well, I think my approach would be, if there was a big misconception, let's say found myself in the middle of a scandal, right? I would clear up the misconceptions, but anything that's just outrageously not true, like anything I think is just, you know, if they believe that, they'll believe anything. That's the stuff I'm not interested in addressing. I'm interested in the stuff that, like, sensible people might hear about and think that is bad. But
one of the funniest like addresses of criticism was when Obama played the Lion King clip and talked about it being footage of his birth.
Yes.
Whoever wrote that joke.
Seriously, his White House dinners correspondents were amazing. They like properly understood this, like like the idea of Obama as a character was so good. It was so brilliant. I really enjoyed his like stuff.
Yeah, he was like, and this is why like I think it's great that Trump's president, because he's funny in a different way, but he's as funny as Obama was.
He's like
more funnier than Hillary would have been.
Oh yeah, true. Like yeah, she has no charisma.
Bernie Sanders would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
The Pringles man firing footage out.
It's what we all wanted. Obama really was like I can't imagine we'll have a cooler president for a long time. Like Trump is like part of this kind of weird like reality satire. Like it's self-satirizing and it's it's laughable. I feel to sensible people, but I mean you can get a laugh out. I mean you might as well get a laugh out of it. Like
one thing that like a lot of people said about the Trump thing was like, oh, this will be good for comedy, but
it's horrible.
It hasn't. They're all just going, you're a racist. It's just the same crap, but just.
Well, the thing is as well, like I feel like a lot of really, I feel like satire is one of my favourite forms of comedy, and to be honest, you can't really take it a notch higher than this. Like this is so absurd. I mean, it's the guy who runs The Apprentice is in charge of the United States of America. I mean,
it is a gold mine of material. I don't know.
I don't know if it. I don't know. I mean, obviously you can just mock what he says, but that's the problem. Like it's so scary on some level. Like it's because that is real. Like it's not where like, I don't know. I mean, Bush was pretty bad for like the silly things he would do, like walking into a door that was locked, and he'd do a lot of stupid.
He did
stuff.
dodge that shoe though.
He did dodge that
he
shoe.
He stopped hitting the mic, man.
Oh man, yeah. But Trump is on another level.
I couldn't see Trump dodging a shoe.
No, he would. Oh, but seriously, then this is the scary thing. He reacts. He is so insecure because he reacts in the worst way I've seen anyone react to stuff. Like so much gets to him, so much bugs him that shouldn't bug him as president. Like
he should be above. Like he should be above having shit fights with people on Twitter.
Yeah.
But I think it is so funny that like this is the age we live in. Like there's finally a president who is engaging with
just the public through tweets.
That side of social media in a way that a politician hasn't before.
But the thing is, like, I know that for the most part, a lot of politicians wouldn't do that because of approval ratings and stuff. But also the idea is that they've got so much that they should be dealing with that this is below them. And the fact that Trump can't elevate himself above that level, like it's like water skiing.
I think he probably sees it all as part of it. Like
maybe
he comes from business, man.
Yeah.
Like, and that's just people shitting on each other and saying my dick's bigger than your dick.
I don't even see that. Like even in business, there are like proper like. I mean, he's not even playing that well. Like his business is only done well. Like if he was the first in the line of the Trump family to try and start a business, it wouldn't be where it is.
He had a small loan of $1 million.
Exactly. Like this is it. Like Trump isn't even an exemplar. He's not even a good example of like the American dream. He's not the guy who got rich. He's the son of the guy who was rich. He's the example of like the bit where capitalism fails and the money doesn't trickle down to everyone else.
But he's also like an example of the political system has failed because.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely...
How bad must it be for a bunch of people to be like, that billionaire, he really gets us.
But this is kind of what I mean, is like, a lot of satire tends to take these ideas, these downfalls, and takes them to an extreme place, and we're just there. Like, that's the problem. We're just at this point where it is so ridiculous. It's this celebrity culture, emphasis on greed. I mean, there's so much wrong about the Trump presidency.
But then again, it's like part of a wider, ongoing like culture war that's been going on through like
it's definitely
social media,
forums. It's definitely a pendulum that's swinging, and it's now reaching one of the extreme points.
It's maddening. Like every day, there's like a new. This is why this person's wrong and my side is right.
Yeah.
Just dizzying like scandal after scandal.
I know.
Here's a good joke. I reckon the only reason the BBC cast a woman as the Doctor was so they could pay her less. But
yeah. Oh, is that even something we want to touch on in this podcast? The woman Doctor? I think it's fine.
I think it's fine, but I don't think. There's been a lot of talk of like, oh, Doctor Who, they're women, white men, and that is kind of. They sort of say, oh, that Doctor Who isn't diverse because of that. But right. I think Doctor Who has been one of the most diverse.
Yeah, it has. I mean, this is it.
Also, the SJWs are going to act like Mickey Smith wasn't a big part of that show. Martha Jones, Jack Harkness.
Yeah, and I was about to bring up Jack Harkness. He was cool. Like he was a pansexual. Like he was the P. That's not even in LGBT. That's do you know what I mean? That's not even in there yet. It's not even made into the acronym.
That'll be the next one though.
It will.
They're always adding more letters to that.
They are always adding. Yeah. It's almost like we should just stop discriminating on people, and then we wouldn't need big long acronyms.
Maybe just love everyone and join.
You know, I can see like, right. Well, I guess I can't really see a lot of their sides of the story. I can see the side where some people would say that it's pandering. I get that, like, we are in a society where like sometimes it's like the whole woman cast of Ghostbusters was so ridiculous because it's like. Equality isn't just doing the same thing but with women. It's like that's not what that is. Like it's just basically that isn't that. Like equal opportunities is good. So my point is
the trailer they put out of that Ghostbusters movie, Leslie Jones going, "Oh hell no!"
I know.
And people are like this looks shit.
Yeah.
And then all those people just happen to be misogynists.
I know.
It's like come on.
No, so this is the point, isn't it? And but that's why I think so like. In context, so in theory, like, and the showrunners have never ruled out the idea of a female Doctor. It's just been that way for a while. If we are like getting less oppressive, it should be fine for this to happen. So I think that. So I get it. It's like the first time it happens, it's always potentially going to be taken as, oh, this is giving in or whatever. This is ridiculous, but. If also where even if you agree that at some point that should be okay, well, there's got to be a first time, and when is that not going to be seen as pandering? It's like, you know, I actually think it's been a long time. I think we're actually past this point where, like, that's really outrageous. I think it's fine. Like, and out of all the shows where you're doing it, you're not like recasting you. It's a shape-shifting alien, for God's sake. Like, out of all the concepts that could support a woman. Like a man turning into a woman, it's a shape-shifting alien.
Yeah, it's not like there isn't precedent for it. Like they literally had the Master do the same thing.
Yeah, like the Master did the same thing, and no one like went mental about it. And you know, like we said, we've had like pansexuals like in the show. Captain Jack Harkness, he was just into anything like that moved. Apparently, aliens of all like shapes and sizes.
He hid a laser gun up his bum.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
can you tell that it was a Russell T Davies character?
Of course, but I don't know. The way I feel about it is the same way I thought about Ghostbusters. Like,
is it
I'll
really?
I'll see it when I see it.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
And then I'll make my mind up.
But this is it.
I'm not against the idea of there being a woman.
But also, I'm gonna say is though, like, if she ends up being bad, I'm gonna judge her as like a bad Doctor. I'm not gonna say it's because she was a woman.
She should have been a nurse.
Oh no!
Again, it's a satire.
I know it is. I know. It's just like the thing is though. You know that like what I was cringing at is because I know there are some people who genuinely think that like the name for a female Doctor is a nurse. Like not that they're separate job roles. It's like that's like the female version of a Doctor is a nurse. Like you know that there are people out there that think that.
That's a weird one. It's a weird one that like male nurses get shit on as well. It's like
yeah,
like
a female doctor and a male nurse. What's the world coming to? Oh,
but yeah, like I'll watch. I'll watch or not. I've not been watching Doctor Who.
Yeah,
and this might get me to watch Doctor Who again.
Interesting,
but just.
It's just weird to me. Like if you like, it's just
the reaction would have been exactly the same if they'd done it with a black person.
Yeah, it would have been. It would have
been one before.
And yeah, but my whole point is like, and I think the most reasonable approach to take to anything like to do with discrimination, it's like basically, if it's an attribute that doesn't change, like, I mean, basically what I'm saying is like, why is that relevant to the character? Like, it's kind of not. So what I'm saying is it shouldn't be outrageous. Like, it shouldn't be a thing. It's just, I don't know. And then there's like other characters. So like James Bond, I think that would be a weird one if they changed him to a woman just based on the fact that
his name is James Bond.
His name's James Bond, and like he's but if you change him to, if he was played by a black actor, I think that would be fine. I don't think like part of his thing is being the gentleman and like this male role, like fine. Like, I think that would be a weird dynamic to change about him, but him becoming black, I don't think it would change anything about being Bond. Like, I think all the qualities that I don't, when you're listing the qualities, you're thinking, he's a womanizer, he's kind of like he's kind of, he's got a bit of like chivalry about him as well, he's like, this gentleman, like all of those attributes also fit someone who's black, but whereas that they don't necessarily fit a woman, if that makes it, a gentleman woman who's a woman, like, do you know what I'm saying? Those don't translate to that shift as well as,
I think the problem I have is that I'm just so sick of like franchises and reboots, and
I think that's the bigger problem.
And like, you can't, and part of the problem is if you criticize these movies, you're not against the movie as a thing, you're against the concept of them putting a woman in charge.
But I agree. Like, if you say to if someone asks you your reason behind it and you don't mention it being a problem with them being a woman, and you mention that and they still take it as that, then that's on them. They're wrong.
There was a whole plot in the most recent series of South Park where Cartman was basically being a social justice warrior.
Yeah.
And he was walking around saying how funny he thought Amy Schumer was and how hilarious the Ghostbusters remake was.
I hate Amy Schumer. She's just not funny, in my opinion.
She stole a bit from Patrice O'Neill.
I know. I've seen this, and I know there are these creative, but the amount of times it's happened with her.
Those comics, everyone in that, I love them all, but those comics, they destroyed Carlos Mencia for stealing jokes. And for some reason, Joe Rogan in particular, he went hard on Carlos Mencia. There's footage of him going up on stage with Carlos Mencia in the venue, just going, "This guy's a thief!
Really?
He's stolen from this guy, he's stolen from that guy." And all of these people, when the Amy Schumer stuff came up, they were like, "Oh, it's probably just parallel thinking or cryptomnesia. She probably didn't mean to do it."
Very much double standards.
All of them hypocrites.
Yeah,
you're really funny people, but you're all hypocrites.
They're not the best people to go to for a moral compass. Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like the two franchises that, James Bond, the actor changing is both Doctor Who and James Bond. The actor changing is just embedded in its history. One fits it into the plot of the actual show, which I think legitimizes it more, and the other is just because it's a long running fit. It's just a thing that happens. It's in a way that other reboots, because James Bond, it's so weird with James Bond because it's not a reboot, but it's definitely not a continuation of the same universe.
Well, I think Casino Royale was definitely a reboot.
It was the first book, wasn't it? And it took him, and it showed his. It's weird though, because it showed his first kill with the Daniel Craig actor, but it wasn't it was set just after that. That showed that, and then he'd been an agent for a long time, presumably where any of these other James Bonds could have had adventures. So yeah, James Bond's a really weird one because it's not a through and through reboot. It's just weirdly part of its history now. Whereas there aren't really any. It's not like Spider-Man, really. Spider-Man maybe is the closest way, but they're still so distinct in their own ways, and they're definitely reboots.
Part of the thing with Spider-Man as well is that Peter Parker is not the only Spider-Man. There's Ben Reilly. There's Miles Morales.
Yes, yeah.
Did we talk about the fact that Childish Gambino was in Spider-Man Homecoming and how awesome that was?
It was really good, wasn't it?
He was set up a little bit as the Prowler.
Yeah, was he?
Because when his police record was on screen, it said Prowler.
Okay,
and that's a tighter.
No, someone mentioned me as he was Miles's uncle. Yeah.
Who is the Prowler?
Oh, all right, my bad. I don't know too much about the wider Spider-Man stuff.
But I thought that was kind of cool because there was that whole thing about whether or not
he would play Spider-Man.
He would play for Spider-Man, and at the time I remember saying well, it's good if he plays Spider-Man, Black Spider-Man, but actually make it Miles Morales, make it the Black Spider-Man. Don't do hi, I'm Peter Parker and now I'm black. There's a character that's been done to death, and there's another character that you could represent.
Yeah.
that to me is like representation. More stories, more stuff, not just changing the stuff that you've got already and putting a new face on it.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess, and also at the end of the day, you never know what the really what you're talking about is, you're speculating on whether the decision was made to try and appeal and be PC, or whether it was made just because they like that act. Like, really, I mean, it should come down, and ultimately it will be a mixture of both. She's a good actress, and it's fresh for the show, but they're also showrunners who, and they know their demographic, and I think the demographic they're targeting are, you know...
I think Ghostbusters came from a place of... I think probably making the movie came from a place of genuine, like...
Yes.
These actresses are very funny, because they are.
Like, yeah, a lot of them, like, especially on, like, their own, like, they were really, really good.
Miss McCarthy is, like... She's not my cup of tea, but she's up there in terms of, like, that rank of comedy actress.
It's really annoying, though. I think my biggest problem was just the fact they decided to then completely change the whole cast, which made it glaringly obvious it was about turning them into a all-woman cast, like, rather than just putting them amongst men and, like, kind of just being like, there's a woman on the team now, cool. Like, that's different.
And the fact that they had, like, the old Ghostbusters in there as just, like, new characters that got killed off and that kind of cunts.
And also, oh my god, and also just, like, I don't know how I feel about people who essentially play stereotypes. It kind of bugs me. Like, when you have, like, the sassy black woman, I'm just like, cool, like, way to reinforce your, like, stereotypes.
The wrench-licking lesbian.
Yeah, it's all really, and I think that's just down to lazy writing as well. Like, it's just such American comedy as well.
Ozzy Osbourne was used as a punchline to a joke. He just, like...
I love how this man's entire man's career has just been, like, flattened into this.
Ozzy Osbourne used to be, like, one of the coolest people on the planet. The guy used to bite the head off of bats, allegedly.
I mean, maybe that's what turned him into what he is now. I don't know. Like, you bite the heads off one too many bats and you get some sort of, like, tropical disease, and
it turns you into a Ghostbusters cuck.
Could also be all the drugs. I don't know. It's one of the two. It's either the bats or the drugs or both, or bats on drugs. Is that how he administered his drugs? I don't know. Bat blood.
Is that our title? Bats on drugs.
Bats on drugs. Yeah. Yeah, working title, but could well be.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, going back to the female doctor thing, I think it's something that needed to happen.
Yeah.
I just wish it had happened in a less toxic time.
I think, but the problem is, and this is always this paradox, isn't it? Because it's like, I think we all want the future that even social justice warriors say they're working towards, although obviously the means are terrible. I mean, I think we all, like, the majority of us see this progressive future and see no reason why women can't have equal opportunity, and, you know, like, black people shouldn't be treated any differently to white people. I don't think there's this, like, even if I know that you're slightly on the more of the side of, like, resisting against, like, the ridiculousness of some people, and I do get that.
No, I just think, like, if they want what they say they want,
yeah,
then they should behave accordingly.
Oh, and I get it, but this is it. Like, people do disagree on how to go about things, and not everyone has this forethought. But, like, it's this weird difference. So we're in a situation where we are now, or were in the past, and we want to be this place in the future. And we always say, like, things like this would be okay if it didn't happen in this time, and that's the problem. We can't teleport to that time, unfortunately. I'd love to teleport to that time. I was having a discussion the other day about like, racist jokes, and even, like, ones that aren't that harmful anymore. I'm like, and will there ever be a, because to me, I actually don't, in like a closed room situation, to a certain extent, I can find a racist joke funny because there's no one there to really be hurt by it, because it's not close enough to them. Like, that's the problem. The problem with saying it, if I was to say it on TV, the chances are that it would reach someone who it offended is much higher than if there's two people sitting in a room. Like, so what I'm trying to say is, there might be a future.
Racism is just an inherently funny idea, though. You're a bit different from me, therefore I don't like you.
But this is what ridiculous. But this is what I've always said. It's so absurd. Like, whether you say it or not, you've got to be sensitive about your surroundings, because I don't want to cause hurt. But, like, on the surface, yeah. I think racism is mentally absurd. I think it's so stupid, to the extent where, like, even amongst my friends, I might, especially when I was younger and a bit more naive and a bit more insensitive, I would have said it. But, like, almost thinking, like, everyone else around me must think this concept's so absurd that they must know I'm not being serious.
There was a blackout last night, so I shot him.
Yeah.
Like,
and
that is such
and
a
ultimately,
set up and twist.
Yeah, but also,
joke, like.
at the end of the day, jokes, regardless of their content, work because they follow a structure, and that follows the structure, and therefore it is almost objectively funny, which sounds like a really pretentious statement to say. But
you've got to understand the subject of a joke and the target of a joke.
Yeah, and that's the point. Is like you can understand a stereotype without actually believing in it.
The subject of that joke is a black person getting shot.
Yeah.
But the target of the joke is the idiot who would, the racist moron who would go, oh my god, there's a black, I have to shoot him.
Yeah.
That's the target of the joke.
It's also just a play on the term. I mean, really, I don't even know it's necessarily racist. It's just like there's a blackout. Yeah,
there was a blackout last night, so I shot him.
Yeah, and so with those sorts of things, but basically, my whole point in this discussion was they're not inherently bad. They're bad because it's still raw for a lot of people, and there still unfortunately are people being discriminated against. So what I'm saying
I just said that joke is funny, but would I say that in front of a black person? Probably not.
No,
because
but also even if like there's a good I could try and argue with them and say, look, I'm not going to discriminate against you. I'm not going to stop you getting a job. Like, this isn't going to affect your real world situation, right? And I'm saying this from a place of, we all know the stereotypes. I don't believe this. I'm not on that side. I'm saying this is a joke because I understand the structure and it's funny, right? That doesn't necessarily cut it. And like basically my point is, I think there could be a future, and my idea of an ideal future is one where no one in the world, because everyone, like no one has lived through. Let's say, like, the ideal world we should be aiming for is one where no one experiences discrimination in their lives.
John's Utopia.
Yeah, sure. We'll call it John's Utopia. No one in there, no one is experiencing discrimination, and they just don't know what that is. And it's because it's as abstract as that is to me. So, because that's why I would find it easy to say that, because that idea is so stupid and so abstract. But unfortunately, people do live it. And so, if there was a future where I could tell that joke to everyone in the world, and they couldn't relate to it, on a level of like, oh, I've actually been discriminated against. Cool, like that's the world we want to be at. But the point is, while that joke would be fine for absolutely everyone in that world, we have a transition, and it's similar to this whole thing with the Doctor. It's like the ideal world. Obviously, you could just cast someone as that. It wouldn't even cross your mind that this was being groundbreaking, or that because it's kind of almost sad that this is the first time it's happened, but it's kind of got to happen. So it's this whole thing of like, it had to happen at some point. I mean, just why not now? And like, you're going to get a bit of flack, but that is also progress. Like, and even if some people pander, which I would say is going too far the other way, like you've gone past just equal opportunity and you're going into this like, trying to like, need this demographic, like, or please them. That's just a natural part of progression, and that will in itself will swing back the other way, and eventually we'll just get to a middle ground where it's totally fine. But I understand why. I think like the society we're in and why people have these backlashes, but ultimately I think it's fine, and I think it's just a natural part of getting to a place where we want to be.
Yeah, like saying a racist joke. Social justice. The code of social justice would say never tell that joke ever. But let's say I have a friend who I'm really close with, and I know that I think they might find that joke funny. Okay?
Yeah.
All I want is the right to choose for myself whether or not I can say that, and I can take that risk of hurting that person's feelings.
Yeah.
And I'm not like so far against social justice that I think, fuck your feelings don't matter. I think you should engage with people and address the way they feel.
I think it's whether it's reasonable for them, and this is ultimately it. Is it reasonable that they're having that reaction? And that's a really hard thing to define, because it's like, ultimately,
like
you could go around. You could go around.
Sorry, like you made a mistake.
You could go around with this like chip on your shoulder, saying, "All right, if anyone reacts badly to anything I do, that's them overreacting." That could be your stance, and that can't be like you can't really ever have that stance. That's kind of crazy. But there's also, you can have the stance of, I don't feel like I say anything in case I offend someone. And that's obviously too much as well. There's a middle ground that we have to exist in. And unfortunately, you when you are in a room full of people, you share that room with a whole, people are on that spectrum somewhere. And it's...
Some people are pulling you left, some people are pulling you right, but you need to stay in the middle.
And ultimately, the majority of people do pretty much ride these things down the middle. And unfortunately, it's like with everything, the extremists of that group make the most noise, and it's really hard to actually get perspective on how many people are being like that.
You know, I mentioned the Black Hebrews earlier.
Yes, this was pre-podcast.
There's one video where they make a white Jewish guy cry by saying that the Holocaust is a joke, and he goes, "Boo! The Holocaust! You're crying over 6 million crackers. There's another cracker kill." And he says something like,
"Wow."
The white guy says, "I'm Jewish." He goes, "You're not a Jew. You're Jewish. The ISH tells me that you're not Jew. You're not a Jew. It's kind of like being a Jew. That's why they call you Jewish."
Oh my god.
And the guy's like, "Are you saying the Holocaust is a joke?" And he's like, "Yeah, the Holocaust is a joke. Hail Hitler."
What? Was this on the Louis Theroux documentary or something else?
No, this is a separate clip.
Oh, some people are absolutely mental, aren't they? It's so scary. Like, it bugs me so much, because I do...
But that's one side of the extremism. And then you scroll down in the YouTube comments, and the top one is, they roasted him worse than his grandparents. Than Hitler roasted his grandparents. You're like, that's just extremism from the other side.
Yeah, it is. Oh man, it's so annoying, because so basically, because my whole thing is like, there's no God or whatever. I give like humans such big amount, like I give them such large amounts of credit. I think like the best things in the world have been made by humans, but goddamn, there's a lot of rubbish stuff too. Like, it's...
I don't know. To me, that's hilarious. I'm.
Oh no,
happy that
it's funny.
exists.
Like, it's funny, but it's so frustrating. Like,
do I feel bad that Jewish guy had to cry and couldn't get a word in edgeways? Yeah, like I felt really sorry for him, but also like the charisma of the Black Hebrews is just it's just so funny to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I just find it really sad that because they're all like consciousness out there, and they're just wasting their life on that crap. Like,
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying I'm doing like anything like so much better with it, but like, actually no, yeah, I am.
But you know, there's some people who are taking sections of old books and they're using it to like kill people and blow them up and stuff, and these guys are just standing on street corners shouting at people.
But the problem is, if they got enough voice, right? Like, because this is it. Like, the reason they can get to people is there are downtrodden people, like, you know, like black people who are downtrodden, who might listen to that if they're impressionable and go, "Oh, look, he's like powerful. Like, he's sticking it to the man."
But
like,
I think my enjoyment of it and seeing it almost as worthy of parody and derision can like take the edge off of it. Like, a good example of this is the EDL and that march.
Yeah.
I'm
and
going
that
on
girl,
a march because I want Britain to be about British.
Yeah.
I want Britain to be about British. They've got Muslimic ray guns.
Yeah, yeah.
No one takes the EDL seriously, and that stuff is like part
and I know
of
what
it.
you're saying. Like, I think humor and laughing about it is definitely a powerful. Like, it's not that I don't find it funny. Like, I do find it funny, but it's also deeply frustrating to me as someone who wants it. So I'm not being like, "Oh, you can't laugh at that. That's really bad." Because I don't think laughing at something is supporting something. I think they're very different things. And then, like you said, there's a huge amount of power to like, and I actually really like that. I think it's a very British thing, actually. Like, just, yeah, having a humour about that sort of thing and using it to rise above that. Yeah, and I think it's good. But you don't want to breed a culture of like indifference about it, though.
No, but making fun of something and giving a heartfelt critique of it, also not mutually exclusive.
No, I agree.
Sometimes you can say something extreme as a joke to parody someone's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do that a lot in conversations. I think that's why people don't know how to take a lot of the things I say, because I'm saying them in like a voice or...
I mean,
that sounds pretentious.
Like I said, like one of my favourite forms of comedy is satire, which is exactly that. It's taking very, very serious, like, you know, matters, and you're basically having a laugh at it. You've got to, right? I mean, one of my favourite comedians is Stuart Lee. Like, that guy, just like, he toys around with all of that stuff, like, you know.
His bit where he's like talking about how people keep asking him to do jokes about Muslims.
Yes.
And
yes.
the asking of you should do jokes just gets angrier and angrier. He's making these really obscure sort of
because he
Stephen Wright-esque jokes that are like,
because he talks about like getting on a bus and there's like lots of Quakers in these areas and there's like, all their bloody oats, like,
Make fun of them properly.
yeah. And I saw, then there was a Quran, and I was really hoping that one of them would sit on it, and then he didn't. And now I don't have a joke for you. Like, it's just like stuff that taking this like very, and then he does actually write an Islamophobic joke. Like the whole thing ends in a genuine critique of Islam, and he said that is the most educated Islamophobic joke you'll ever hear.
But the fact that it was this like ongoing saga of a joke with all of these intersections of people just representing the anger of like.
There are some people who are just funny, but then there is like he's probably the only comedian I've seen that properly treats stand up as an art. Like he's
all right. I'll make fun of Muslims, but I'm also going to make fun of you for asking me.
But then he's structured like how he structures his whole show. Like everything's like has all these callbacks running through it. Like he has all this like brilliant timing to it, and he. Yeah, and he even like plays around with like the audience, like he like criticizes the audience like that's there, and he's like, these guys are getting it, but you guys over there, you're really you're a bit behind. Like, do you remember that bit I said? It's just I really like his he just like plays the room so well. Oh, we're actually heading up to an hour now. Damn.
An hour now.
I don't even know how we started this podcast. I can't even remember. What did we kick off with?
You were talking about Dunkirk. We need to go see Dunkirk. And we also need to watch The Room.
Okay.
How about this as an idea for a podcast? If I can somehow figure out how to do this, we record ourselves watching The Room. 'Cause I don't think the movie's that long, so it might be like 20 minutes to half an hour longer than a regular
I think the best thing to do would be anyway. We can discuss this off. This planning doesn't need to happen now.
No, let's just roll with it.
My idea would be listen to it with headphones in.
Did you stop recording?
Nah.
Okay, good. Listen to it with headphones in.
We'll listen to it headphones in, and but we'll like timestamp it. So we'll watch it start to finish, because then we can just like when we need to like drop the sound in, we can drop the sound in, and then but like we also our audio won't have that audio in the background because we listen to it through headphones.
I see. Maybe we could, yeah. But that'd be interesting because I think that's something that we could do a two-parter on. Like we could record ourselves watching The Room, then go and see The Disaster Artist and talk about it as a review.
There you go.
We could be well informed.
Well, look forward to that, guys. We'll do that sometime nearing The Disaster Artist.
Part of this podcast is me just showing you weird things. I think and The Room should be one of them.
I'm willing to expose myself to weird things.
That's good. I like exposing weird things to people.